Yeah, my name is BEREND and I'm a founder of Ocean 6. Live in Bergen, here just north of Amsterdam. 3 kids, beautiful wife. Well, at least I say so, John. So, former naval officer. I've been sailing in the Navy for 20 years, always on submarines.
Okay. How did you come in contact with the people that we've been talking about?
Yeah, so it was actually just a LinkedIn connect with Maarten, and I was working on this serious game in the maritime sector, combining all shipping crews who are active in reducing the footprint of their vessel, and so I was engaged with a lot of ships and a lot of ship owners, and Maarten reached out to me and started talking and saying that he was actually interested in shipping fumes, and yeah, we got interested and we connected.
What was your knowledge at that time in terms of the challenges of climate, in terms of the challenges of climate and the possibilities of doing something about it?
Yeah, I was aware, always interested in what's happening in the world, and yeah, so I was aware of the challenges, and had my own thoughts about that also. As a captain of a submarine, you know that everything has a limit, except the potential of the crew. That was already the journey I was engaged in unleashing that potential of people, of my crew in first instance, of my kids, of the surrounding which I'm living in. So that was my way to tackle these complex problems and to take my responsibility.
And Maarten's ask, what was he actually asking you for? What was he looking for?
I think he actually didn't really know, but he was just they were just philosophizing about a possible solution, and they had this chemical process about methane that was that they were thinking that under influence of sunlight, iron, and the maritime boundary layer, something happened. So they were actually looking if that was really happening in the field, and then they concluded also that big ships have a certain amount of fuel in their heavy fuels, and therefore they were interested to actually explore that. And they reached out with this pretty vague possibility, and that actually just started an investigation together. We came together on a weekly basis, and yeah, we had a mutual interest in what was keeping each other busy. So yeah, we engaged, and actually after 1.5 years, the request and the whole hypothesis got much more mature, and we actually applied for a Horizon Europe proposal together, which was facilitated also by Ocean 6, partly together with all these universities.
Yeah. And what gave you the ability to put A and B together in terms of your connections?
Well, yeah, so I actually, to describe myself, I guess, a bit, as a captain of the submarine, you probably are aware of the bigger picture. So I think I'm a conceptual thinker. I can just listen in, understand the problem of the scientist, live it through, and then finally operationalize that and plan it down to finally talking down to the seafarer. So yeah, that's actually the way that worked out.
And your connection with someone like Maersk, because I mean that's separate from the Navy, where did that connection come from?
Shall we maybe wait? Okay. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Could you ask the question again, John?
Yeah, your connection with Maersk, how did that come about? That you're able to move mountains?
Yeah, so all these bigger shipping companies actually, and Maersk is one example. Stolt is the other example. Stolt Tankers, and yeah, so in those big companies, they're all guys like you and me, working to actually find solutions for what's happening out there. And well, on a personal level, if you just get into a conversation and ask them how they're feeling, what's keeping them busy, and what are they doing about it, then you have a common story and you have a common thing to do. And yeah, finally we're talking about Maersk, but it's actually just a person at that bigger company who's actually wanting, who has another piece of the puzzle. And just asking and open communication and building trust between those people make things happen. And that's what Ocean 6 is all about, unleashing our collective human potential. So love doing that, getting energy from that.
So just talking around Ocean X, just give us a high level overview of what that is.
Yeah, so what Ocean 6 exactly is there to do is actually we're interested in really making that paradigm shift in which we actually reorganize all the available human potential in the world. I believe the way we're structured at this moment and organized at this moment, we're pretty confined to silos, and the ability to really work together and connect is sometimes hampered. So with Ocean 6, we formed this neutral entity. We build independent missions in which different companies can participate, and we define actually that mission is just a compelling story for a whole lot of individuals to really engage in. And I just always use the submarine paradigm also for that, because we're just creating new virtual submarines in society in which crews are intrinsically motivated to achieve a mission. That's what Ocean 6 is all about.
Okay, I'm just going to check.
If you make the story big enough, there's a story in there for everyone. For the end user, for businesses like Maersk, like Stolt, for politicians, for scientists, for everybody to participate. But that is actually a strange thing to do, to make the story bigger instead of more focused. So in traditional businesses, we actually want to have more focus so that there's a clear picture of where we're actually going. And with Ocean 6, we facilitate more an explorative way of working, in which we design explorations and make the story big, so that actually bigger companies and also the companies that have that infrastructure and are willing to make steps, have a specific role for themselves in the storyline to actually bring back up to their 1-up and 2-ups. And for Maersk, that's of course, they want to show that they actually also have sailors out there, seafarers out there who are intrinsically devoted, just people like you and me, I can't say that enough, who just want to contribute and take responsibility in the area we all have responsibility to take.
Can you just describe the nuts and bolts of the basic elements, the physical elements of what it is that you're providing to the scientists?
Yeah, so the scientists actually request me for samples in a certain area over the ocean. I know where the shipping routes are. We reached out to the different ship owners who operate there. We get in contact via their environmental department, actually bringing the scientists into contact with their environmental department, letting the scientists explain what they're doing and why it's important and why they could be of added value. Then we get contacted via that environmental department to the ship manager. The ship manager just knows where his ships are at what period of time when they are pulling into port. And they bring us into contact with the captain. We do the talking with the captain and really engaging that personnel, instructing the personnel, the seafarer. We have a little video-based platform in which we actually have a 24/7 support organized, and we send the samplers and the flasks over to the harbor, to the port, and then the ship goes off he goes and does the sampling, and when the flasks are full, sends them back to the Utrecht University, where they will be analyzed. That's actually the whole process.
Okay, can you just talk about? It's a really big ask. Someone says, look, we'd like to get air samples across the ocean, across the whole Atlantic or something like that. It's a massive ask. But fortunately, you've got the know-how and there's a network through the shipping companies to be able to achieve that, what would probably sound like an impossibility.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's then maybe what I do and what we start with. But how do you eat an elephant? You bit by bit, you know. So when we started doing this and say, okay, yeah, we need air samples there, then yeah, I could philosophize that it was possible, and actually engaging that seafarer and say, could you do that for us? So when we started, we didn't know exactly how we would do that. But yeah, it turned out actually very doable. And you know, so of course we had some challenges, but they're all solvable. And
How many, can you give us a bit of a breakdown, if you know it, how many areas are involved? Or what are the
so
routes?
it's the area between...
Oh, sorry, just because my voice was there.
So it's actually the area between the Sahara, so the west coast of Africa and the Caribbean, the Barbados and the north of South America. So that area is of interest. So that's where the Sahara dust reaches, interacts with the maritime boundary layer, and that's where the sampling needs to take place. There are two major shipping routes cross-secting that area, and that's where the ships are taking samples at the moment. And in the last 6 months we have reached 500 samples up to now. So, and we're just getting started. So it's pretty much.
Can you talk about the guys that are on the ships, how you approach them and what their response was and how that's going?
Yeah, so first of all, the captains and I would really want to do a genuine shout out to them, of course. Amazing how much support they are giving. They connect us to their crew members, and these guys are just so, guys and girls, they're just so interested into to supporting and helping each other out. And that's really what, maybe because they're seafarers and crew members, and they know that they have to do it together on that ship, but that's also what we experience now. They're open, they're interested, they're curious, and they're, on the other hand, also very capable. Asking them to sample an air flask is really something they're very capable of doing, of course.
So one thing that came up, I can't remember if it was you or I overheard the other guy in the interview, but people think that on a long haul, you leave port and then you read the newspaper and then you come into port. But these guys are pretty busy all the time, right? And on top of that, they're doing this other job.
Yeah, so I think seafaring, the boat is sailing 24/7. It's always on the move, always diesels running, generators, cooling. It is a 24/7 operation, and the crew is limited. The demand for logistics is super high, so yes, these guys have a lot to do, guys and girls have a lot to do, and still that's also that can-do mindset. In that world, they are still finding places to actually support and reach out of their normal routines, and of course they based on curiosity, but they're just intrinsically motivated to actually contribute, and they really think it's fun. Also, one of the most important things, also what we do as Ocean 6, we provide a feedback loop. So yes, I really like to talk to them and really engage them in what the scientists are actually making, what steps the scientists are making. So yes, I connect with the scientists, get an update on their progress, bring that back to the seafarer, tell the seafarer, give them a big thank you, and bring that back. So yes, they're pretty busy, but they're very busy, but like everyone, if you like what you're doing, and that is something which I really see the seafarers also perform.
What was the ask?
Maybe we need to cut that. The last one, yeah.
What was the ask when you asked them, and when they realized the importance of what they were doing, what was the reaction to that?
Well, I'm not promising that they're doing something important. I'm just thanking them for what they're doing. And they're actually thinking that they're contributing, and that's what they're doing. Because this scientist is actually locked up in his lab working with models that still contain a lot of mysteries. So we're actually not aware of what's happening in our own atmosphere. And with that story, you can engage everyone to actually support, to provide data, to understand better what's happening in the Earth. And its atmosphere. So I'm not promising that we're actually saving the planet. We're just requesting them to fill in the gaps which we all don't know yet. So that's actually yeah, the basis of the story.
But you know, that long journey and the first steps, so it's certainly intrinsic. So let me pose the same question to yourself. I mean, what are your personal thoughts about being involved in a project like this?
Well, I think it's again an example of that being okay. Well, I think it's just an example again of unleashing human potential, and that some things that leads to results that we, that exceeds our expectancies, and it's not. I believe accepting not knowing or accepting the uncertainty in a certain exploration also provides the space for people to actually really engage and unleash and do what they think is good and feels good. And that's, I guess, the only roadmap to a sustainable planet. Really trying to create space for everybody to fulfill his own personal story within a bigger story, and that's actually what exploration seafarers and scientists is again an example of.
Yeah, so I mean that's a general response that is true and accurate, and I believe that. But on a very personal level, I mean it really is. I guess if it was me, I'd consider it to be not maybe a privilege, but certainly an opportunity to get involved in something as dynamic as this.
Yeah, well, yeah. So Ocean 6 is involved in 5 explorations, and all have the same, give me the same feeling that we're doing this together, that it's actually something which is scalable, it's growable, it's a movement which doesn't stress me, but it gives me confidence, and it is all manageable because we're actually, once we grow, another person is actually involved. And so, yeah, that's what I call a movement. And I'm just, I've been sailing on submarines with 60 people. I say always I've been sailing in a steel pipe welded shut on both sides. And it's just always great to work with a lot of people on a similar mission and drink a beer in the next port visit.
This hasn't been in any of the discussions that we've had, but we've certainly interviewed a lot of people and know a lot of people that have a sense of depression almost in terms of the situation with the way things are going climatically, and them feeling that they just have no involvement in that they feel quite helpless. Do you have any thoughts on that? Any advice that you would give to those people?
Well, so and that's the raison d'être, that's the essence why Ocean 6 is there. Yeah. So I think that is our. I think it's not the people. It's not those people who are actually really depressed. It's the way we organize ourselves that people have a feeling of not being involved, or that they are functioning in a way that is actually leading to more dead ends. I think we can organize ourselves in a total different way in which that personal journey of everyone can be activated. Also with everybody with their own scope, contributing to their context and actually exploring our future. To all those people, I would like to say, there's so much unknown. Accept uncertainty. Don't give up on yourself, because the biggest belief I know as a captain, everything has a limit except the potential of that crew, and the crew of this planet is you and me.
That's great. That's good for now, and then we can do some more interviews tomorrow if that's okay.
Cool. Yeah, my name is BEREND van der Kraats, and I'm part of Ocean 6. It's a social enterprise trying to unleash our human potential for global impact. Yeah, so if you ask me what is necessary to actually unleash our collective potential for global impact, then I believe we need to, there are two kinds of stories we need to formulate. And one story is actually really engaging people. So it's a people story. It's an individual. It's a big, compelling story in which every individual actually has their own story to tell. So it's not a dictating story. It's actually a facilitating story. So I'm all for that. And you can wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll tell you that story. On the other hand, there's another storyline, and that's actually all these individuals who actually have an intrinsic drive and have an intrinsic story to tell are part of an organization, and that organization still has its foots in traditional structures. A business needs to make money, politicians need to get re-elected, scientists need to apply for new grants and therefore be productive. And to help these individuals who are part of these different bubbles and different silos to actually partly do or fully do what drives them intrinsically, we need to manage and organize that all these individuals are helped to tell that story within their own context. And so that's actually an example. These seafarers, they want to support and carry on, but if they're only out there supporting scientists to do samples, then our iPhone doesn't come into the harbor of Rotterdam anymore, because the ship is constantly at sea doing samplings for scientists. So that's not what the senior leaders of those seafarers like. So we need to build a story with those senior leaders of these bigger corporates to actually have something in there for them to unleash that potential of that seafarer to really contribute. And that's actually what we're doing as Ocean 6.
I'd suggest one additional thing.
So if you ask me if every seafarer is actually wanting to contribute, I'm not sure. And I don't oblige them to. I think there are a lot of seafarers out there or other people working for organizations that are totally fine to perform and act within that organizational boundary. No questions asked. But the people who do want to add that value, I think that is where is still a big chance to engage that potential. So that people are performing for 80% of the intrinsic motivation within an organizational boundary, still have 20% they want to contribute to something which is out there and in which we can all take responsibility. And organizing that rest potential of that human capital is what we're after. So I'm not blaming anybody who's just doing his daily job within their organizational boundaries, but I'm inviting others to actually participate in something which actually is very appealing to them. So it's a positive story. It's a chance of opportunities, and that's actually the only thing I believe we can actually create a sustainable social movement, which is required for climate change, healthcare, or all the other good stuff we're actually hoping for. So it makes my story actually pretty easy, because it's all to do with people, social innovation, and their potential. So bring on the complex issues. The solution for me remains the same. So with Exploration Seafarer and a scientist, we're actually again designing this phase of unleashing our collective potential. So really asking the people who want to contribute to actually contribute and facilitating that journey for them. Perfectly fine if there's still people who say, hey, I don't want to be part of that. That's great. But looking at one level up, if we really want to tackle those complex issues we're all globally facing, and of which climate is one, possibly. No, okay, I don't want to go there. Why? Because I don't want to talk in problems.